Welcome to Love, Life, and Lies. I'm your host, Kevin Evans. Today we have Nate Nguyen joining us from Shakespeare's down on 6th Street in Austin. Hey, Nate. How you doing?
What's up, guys?
Nate, so Nate manages or is a manager down at Shakespeare's on 6th Street, one of the watering holes, well known in downtown Austin on 6th Street. So he sees a lot of things on a day-to-day basis. So I wanted to bring him aboard today to talk about some things that he sees and some hints and suggestions to people out there. But Nate, how long have you been in the service industry?
I've been down here for probably 10 years now. It's not a watering hole. It's more like a shithole downtown.
Let's call it a beloved historical outlet where people can get their beverages of choice and meet some great folks. How's that?
Well, they call it historic six, but 6th Street in general is it's a dying breed. East 6th Street, dirty 6th Street is colloquially known as East 6th Street. It's to distinguish itself from West 6, because West 6 is its own kind of animal. So they people on the west side like to call themselves West. People on the east side call themselves dirty. So it's a street divided. But
Okay, so and that's a good question I always had. So they call it Dirty Six. That's basically Old 6th Street, correct?
yeah, dirty 6 is East 6, and then you also have far East 6, which is actually past the highway. So if you pass 35, that goes to far East 6, and those bars are a bunch of dive grunge bars. It's a completely different vibe too. So
Yeah.
6th Street is actually divided a lot.
Yeah, but Shakespeare's is interesting because it's like right in the middle of 6th Street, and it's got an interesting layout. There's a lot of different aspects, which is kind of what intrigued me about Shakespeare. Is you have kind of different pockets within the bar. It's a lot larger than you think it is when you see it from the outside. So you get some different elements of interactions there from what I've seen. Correct?
Yeah. So a good way that I would describe Shakespeare's is it is like a West 6 bar on Dirty. So we have 3 bars located into one, and the way that everything is laid out, it doesn't look like a Dirty 6 bar, because if you look at Dirty 6 bars, they're all dive bars. Like every single one of them is dive bars. But then you have us, and then you have Maggie Mays, you have Blind Pig, and these are the only 3 bars I can think of off the top of my head right now that are multi-level bars on 6th Street. So they don't actually fit that dive bar kind of category. If you think about Chupacabra or Jackalope or Moose, they're all dive bars, because you walk in and you literally just take a shot. They're dive bars, and it's very definition is just dive in, dip out. And so that's the motto of 6th Street, right?
Gotcha. Yep.
Everybody on 6th Street just goes to every single different bar. They're at 10 different places. They don't know where they're at in the 10th place because they're wasted at that point, and then you call it a night.
I'm sure they're all drinking responsibly. We would not ever want to have anybody annihilated on 6th Street. So I'm sure everybody's drinking responsibly there. So
that's what the city of Austin believes.
Well, that's my story. I'm sticking with it, right? So you see a lot of interactions between folks on a daily basis at the bar. Some of them are good, some of them not so good. So
they're all bad.
well, not all of them are bad. I mean, I've had some fine people out there.
Not me.
Yeah, you are an exception to that. However, with that, so you see a lot of interaction between, let's just call it men and women without getting into the other elements of society today, but let's just call it for the basics, men and women. So let's talk about let's start with entering the bar. So some people try to use fake IDs and stuff these days, correct?
Yeah.
And,
some people.
And what's the bust rate on that? How many people do you bust a night trying to get in with fake IDs?
Oh God. It depends on the night, honestly. Today's Thursday. Tonight is college night, and UT campus is literally within 5 minutes of driving distance from 6th Street. And if you could walk from UT campus to 6th Street, it's in walkable distance. The amount of undergraduates that go to that school and try to get inside the bars on Dirty 6th Street is astounding. I would say percentage-wise, man, we would be looking at, with our clientele, and if you're looking at 6th Street as a whole, I would say on Thursday nights, probably 65% plus people are all like underage college kids that are trying to get inside the bar.
Seriously?
Yeah. On Thursday nights though, because it's college nights, and it's college nights because it's got a long kind of history of because our industry is very like much associated with that school. Like UT is the flagship school in Texas. We have a long standing like tradition with that where a lot of people like to go out on Thursday, the day before Friday, because I guess what the idea is that like their Friday classes, they don't really care. So Thursday is kind of like their Friday, you know?
Gotcha.
Like everybody goes out, gets wasted on that day, and then don't show up to class on Fridays because it's either like a throwaway class or it's just like they want to just go in for like the morning or whatever, and then the classes don't really matter. So it's kind of like an extra Friday for them. That's why they go out on Thursdays.
Okay, so the average age that it goes here about is right about 22, 23, 21, in that range, would you say?
In the college nights?
No, just in general, your overall clientele.
In general, at Shakespeare's, I would say we are actually a little bit more into like the median age of like 23 to like 28.
Okay.
Like we get more of that middle 20-year-old demographic.
Okay.
If you're talking about other bars on 6th Street, it's like 22 or under.
Gotcha. So you see folks in there, and naturally one of the things people do at bar, they're blowing off steam, they're playing beer pong, playing some games, or they're looking for the opposite sex typically to engage into some festivities. Let's just call it that, right? So when you see that kind of playing out at a bar, what do you see? Let's say a guy approaches a girl. Tell me what an average pickup looks like at a bar.
Well, so I don't know where these people learn how to pick up women, because every one of these interactions I see, I'm not going to say all of them, but like if we're going to like do numbers here, it's probably like 90%. Every single time I'm seeing this, it's like a 90% where it's like, I feel like their concept of like picking up women at the bar is like what they get from watching TV and movies, because it's that cliche. It's literally that cliche. Like they'll walk up to a girl and they'll be like, "Hey, who are you here with?" And then they'll be like with my friends, and they'll be like, "Let me buy you a drink." And then they're like, "Okay," and they'll buy you a drink, and they're like, "So, what are you into?" You know.
So they go
these are the kind of questions like, "So what are you into?" Like, you go to school here? You go here a lot often? I hear that one all the time. Do you go here often? That is the worst. If you're trying to make conversation with people, that is literally the worst way to ask, you know, for somebody's attention or like to start a conversation. Do you go here often? Like, what does that even mean? Like, I'm here right now. What does it matter? Like,
and they say that a lot.
Oh, they say that all the time. So I'm like, I don't know where these people are getting like taught any of these like pickup lines. I don't think they're getting taught at all. So my idea is that like they see movies and TV shows, and then that's what they think they should be doing, because it's literally that cheesy. So and then there's no success rate in that, because the women that are like being hit on see it as cringy, you know, as cringe, and then they're like, of course they're not interested.
But that's good for the other single guys, because that just lowers the bar for the rest of us, right? So,
yeah, exactly.
So hey, let's encourage that. That's my opinion. So you see that, and they tend to lead with a drink too. They want to buy them a drink.
Yeah. Leading out with a drink. So that doesn't mean anything in the bar industry, because, well, especially where we work at on 6th Street, the drinks are given out free like all the time. We literally have in our within our industry a position called a promo guy. And a promo guy, the only thing that he does for the entire night is to give out free drinks. That's all he does. Give out free drinks to beautiful women.
I got to meet these guys. Shit, I'm looking at the wrong folks, I guess. So you see a guy approach a woman, and it's you come here often, buy a drink. It just doesn't work, right?
Yeah. I mean, like you got to be interesting. You got to do something to stand out. Don't be cliche. Don't be like, you know, some weird guy that you see on the movies that you kind of want to copy or something. Like, be confident about it, but it's kind of like a balance between being confident and being unique, you know? So if you're not unique to begin with, then like develop a personality, guys.
Yeah, good.
But,
So,
yeah.
okay. So what do you see that works? Do you have an example of something that works or that you've seen work?
When I'm talking about being confident and being unique, what does work are people that actually like you. They approach you and they look like they're having fun. Like whether they are or not, we don't know. But their reaction and the way they act is so genuine that they look like they're actually having fun. Women love that. They love a guy that's like sure of himself, but he looks like he's enjoying his night. He's having fun. He looks like he could be fun to hang out with because he's like, joking around. He's confident in his own skin. Like that's what women like. So if a guy approaches them and he seems, whether he is or not, genuinely having a good time, they are like, hey, you know what? Like, yeah, I'll accept a drink from this guy. And then I think I might actually hang out with him because he looks like he's having a blast. Like,
I've heard that number one for women, confidence. That just echoes across everything. Confidence is the number one thing that women look for without question. Normally when I go to a bar, I don't approach women, but if I do, my pickup line is, hey, do you have daddy issues? If they say yes, right answer. If they say no, I go, you want some? It makes them laugh, right?
Everyone has daddy issues. So you're working. I could see success rate on that.
It just gets them laughing. At the very least, it's worth the conversation, right? So it's just having fun. Because I usually don't go there to pick up women. It's like I go out there and I enjoy a good time talking with people and interacting. But I love to people watch. And it's also weird how many single guys go there and they look like vultures, just sit there ready to pounce, and they look pathetic. You just know the guys that are out there trying to look for a woman. They sit against the bar and just scoping out the crowd, and they look creepy as shit.
Yeah. Well, see, if you or I mean, there's a lot of different game plans you can go into, right? If you're trying to do that when you go to a bar, you better have a good wingman, And having a good wingman is kind of like what we were talking about earlier in terms of criteria. Have them be genuine, have them be confident, have them be like entertaining, funny, like having a great time. If you have that as your wingman and you are kind of not like that, that guy can carry you. I could see that happening. Yeah. I've seen it at the bar before. I've seen guys be that type of person and go up to a group of girls and buy them all around, and then they're interested in him, and then he brings in his friend, and it's like, hey, this is Tom, or this is this guy that's not actually like interacting with them, and then now they are interacting with him. So if you have a good wingman, yes, it can work.
It's also I've seen it's a death sentence going into a group of women by yourself, typically, because there's always an alpha in there. And she's either going to chew you up and spit you out just because to prove she's an alpha, or she's not getting the attention and she's going to cause a problem. That's just been my experience. One guy going up to a group of 4 or 5 women, it's suicide most of the time.
Yeah, no, it requires a lot of balls.
Yeah, balls, but it doesn't mean. But yeah, you're gonna get eaten up and spitting out most of the time.
You can't like I can't do it sober. I'll slam a shot before I do that.
Yeah,
and I know a lot of guys that do the same as well. If they're going to approach a group of like 5 girls, they'll like, hey bartender, let me get a double shot of whiskey.
But you gotta have a game plan. If you're gonna approach a group of girls, you have to have a game plan. It's usually, hey, what are you here celebrating, or something like that. You have to have a very different technique to go to a group of girls, because it's most of the time you're gonna get punched in the face. Yeah,
well, see, it helps. So all that talk we're talking about with personality and being charming and stuff, it helps also immensely if you are good looking.
Yes. Well, I'm fucked.
That's why I was screwed.
Fuck. That's why I'm probably going to a table of 5 women. It's like, see ya, bye. But okay, so let's talk the other side of that. So you have women that will approach guys, or what women have to deal with sometimes, because they have to deal with a lot of assholes out there sometimes. And sometimes I feel really bad for women, because they'll get approached, they get this drink, and the guy thinks he owns her at that point.
Yeah. That's so they nowadays it's kind of getting reverse. The guys are getting played in this scenario nowadays, I feel like, because they are buying them drinks and the women knows that like what they're trying to do. This is not like rocket science. Like they know,
right.
They know what you're trying to do.
They know the
it's
game.
Not, yeah, it's not, oh my God, he's going to be out of the kindness of his own soul going to buy me a drink. That's where we don't live in fairy tale land. But when that happens, they'll ask for something really expensive, right? Then I will oblige. As a bartender, I will oblige 100% of the time because they'll come up to the bar, right? And I'll see it. You know, I notice everybody at the bar because I've been doing this for a long time. I'll see a girl come in with her friends or just by herself, and then now she'll be with a random guy, and they'll walk up to the bar, and the random guy is just like, hey, let me get 2 shots of 1942. And I'm just like, it's like a $35 shot, but all right, cool. Because I know what she's trying to do.
Right.
I know what she's trying to do. And then after they take the shot, right? Don't shoot 1942, by the way, guys. You got to sip on it. It's a great tequila. But after they drink it, right, she'll just immediately leave.
Yep.
So he's getting played. Like he just spent $70 on 2 drinks that he may or may not like. And then now she's not like around him. She's not interested. She walks away immediately.
Well, and I'll say this, guys deserve it. If you're going to lead with a drink and you can do that, you deserve it. Okay. Get them to invest in you first through conversation. Get to know them a little bit before you buy a drink. Don't walk up with your lead and say, hey, can I buy you a drink? Because they're going to chew you up. Because any woman, my opinion, I know this, I get a lot of flack for this. Just about any woman can go to a bar, 6th Street, wherever it is, sit at the bar and drink for free all night if they choose to. They just can. That's the reality of it. Guys can't do that. The guy sits down at the bar. He's not going to have a bunch of women approach him buying drinks all night. It's just not going to happen. It may happen on occasion. Women will buy a guy a drink here or there. But I'm saying in general, bell curve, that a woman can go to a bar and drink for free. Now, she may have to put up with a bunch of bullshit from a bunch of dudes, but she can drink for free if she chooses to do that. Women...
100%.
Women, in my opinion, again, this won't be popular with some folks, but they are programmed at a very early age that they can get what they want if they play themselves. They just can. They can use their looks. They can use their flirtiness because men are stupid. And what I mean by that is if a woman's nice to a guy thinks she's hitting on him. That's the reality. But a guy can be nice to a girl. It doesn't mean he's hitting on her. They just, sometimes that's their personality. But if a woman is nice to a guy, then he thinks they're hitting on him. And it's like, oh, she likes me. I'm going to get her pants. That's kind of the reality of it. That's just my opinion. It's not popular in some circles, but it's just my opinion. So if you lead with a drink, you're just kind of asking for it. So get them to invest in you at least.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you're leading with the drink, you're basically telling them that like you're starting off with a very materialistic thing.
Right.
As opposed to like coming up to somebody and just like trying to have a conversation.
Yeah, it's transactional. It becomes transactional. I mean, if you're going to approach a woman at a bar, at least compliment them. Don't say you're beautiful, you're pretty, whatever it is, because what happens is a lot of women hear that all the time. Pretty women hear that all the time. Compliments something very specific. It's like, wow, that's a great pair of earrings, or your eyes really bring out that outfit, or the outfit brings your eyes out. Very specific, and that'll help you. Don't lead with a drink. It's just suicide. So
I like to lead with a joke. I always like to say something.
But you're not a funny guy.
I'm not. I'm not a funny guy. That's why if you make a fool of yourself and they see that vulnerability in front of them, like it makes them kind of like see you as more of like a genuine person.
Yes.
But so it works in 2 ways. If they laugh at it, then it's like, okay, you know, they think you're funny, blah, blah, blah. If they don't laugh at it, as long as it's not weird and like cringy and awkward, if it's just like you can laugh at yourself, right? You said something stupid, you're laughing at yourself, like you're being like just a fucking goof. People like awkward guys. Like they like that shit as well. They like it because they know that you're being real. They know that you're not kind of putting on this kind of like this facade of like, I'm trying to be this like person that I'm actually not. They can see the type of vulnerability and they respect it. So
I agree with that. Women want to see 3 things. They want to see confidence, feel protected, and a sense of humor. Typically, if you hit those first 3 things at a bar, you'll be okay. At least continuing the conversation. You'll be at least interesting enough to like, all right, let's hang out with this dude for a bit.
Yeah.
Now, you've also seen some horror stories, I'm sure, at a bar or some things go bad. So, do you have any examples of some situations?
What in terms of what?
Let's say, like you said, a regular, or you see this woman playing this dude for a drink, right? Now she's on the next guy. He's buying her a drink. Of course, they're still in the same bar. I guarantee that's happened a couple of times. And how does that does not end well sometimes.
So he's buying her a drink at the bar and she like rejects him.
No. So Buy a drink at the bar. Thank you very much. She bops off with her friends, whatever. Now there's another dude talking to her, buying drinks, and she's with another dude, and then maybe another dude after that. So eventually that shit blows up. I've seen it happen a few times myself.
I can't, if I'm like talking to a girl or seeing a girl, I can't have her at the bar. Like I can't, like by herself. And the reason why is because she gets hit on by too many guys. And she doesn't want that. But if you're a girl and you go to a bar by yourself and you're like at least just like attractive, we're not even talking about like a gorgeous person or anything, just like attractive,
right.
You know, you will be hit on all night. That's why girls go to the bars with their girlfriends, so that doesn't happen, because they don't want to just constantly like reject guys over and over. And it will not, it's not like an hourly thing. It's like a minute thing. Right. The first person comes in, within a minute, he gets rejected. And then within the next minute, another guy will come, and then another guy will, and it's just like you're doing a speed dating, kind of like an impromptu speed dating all in one night. And you didn't, if you ask for it, then hey, cool. You can find somebody,
right.
So filter through somebody. But if you didn't ask for that, then you're literally going to have like 50, 60, 70, whatever guys just like hound you throughout the night. So some of the horror stories about that happening. I mean, I've had a girl reject a guy, and he like tried to assault her
in the bar.
He didn't take it. He didn't take it very well, and he was like, "You owe, like you said, you owe me something because I bought you that drink, so you owe me at least like going out to the dance floor dancing, or like at least buying me around, or like." You owe me your number or whatever. And she's like, I don't owe you fuck all. Like, what are you talking about? And he was getting really, really upset about it. And then he like was grabbing her and was shaking her and like yelling at her. And it seemed like he was going to like hit her or whatever, because he had his hands like balled up and stuff like that. And we were like, as soon as we saw that as security, we were like, we get the hell out of here, you know? But, and this wasn't at my bar, by the way. This is like years ago, like 5-6 years ago. But it can escalate to that point because you have alcohol involved. Right. And you also don't know that, some of these individuals could be on more than that. Right. They could be on drugs, like more than, drinking involved. So you have this weird kind of like what I always considered alcohol was kind of like this like chaotic substance, because everybody has like two sides. Right. On them. They have their sober side and then they have their alcohol side. It's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You don't really know somebody, how they're going to react when they drink. And then also you don't know if they're going to do more things while they're drinking, Right. So everybody has that kind of like that alter ego, and I see it every night. So I get to see two sides of everybody. And I've seen like doctors and lawyers, like really well-respected professions, and people that make a lot of money that are supposed to be like upstanding individuals. They get drunk and they act like a frat kid or a sorority girl. And they're like trying to fight people, and they're being obnoxious, and they're like trying to fight the bar staff. They're vandalizing the bar and stuff. I'm like, come on, guys, you're like 40-year-old doctors. You're doing this? Like, what? Like, you can't even handle your liquor, like, because nobody really trains somebody on how to drink. Like, everybody has their own like different way of drinking, and how they react when they drink. Right. And so some of these people, they've been doing that their entire life because whether they had friends that checked them or like family members that checked them or not, maybe it did happen or maybe it didn't, but they've been doing that for a while, and it's been left unchecked for a while. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword with these people, because it's like you want them to have fun at your establishment and drink, but at the same time you're like, I know these people that when they do drink, like they're gonna be maniacs. So like, let's limit. It's like give the fucking werewolf just a little piece of food, because if you give him too much, he's gonna get wild and just like start being out of control. So
can't have that in a bar. So the other thing too is, you obviously, like, a woman will come in your bar and maybe has had a little too much to drink from another establishment, or she's a little, let's just say, not in control typically of her senses a little bit, where she's a little bit more loose, and you see these guys that want to take advantage of that. My suggestion always to women is, have your location services on with a friend if you're going to be that way. Smart, and the other thing too is, if you're in a group, don't abandon one of your friends.
That's the worst. I
have seen that so many times, even on 6th Street, and I know I have stopped several assaults. You just see a woman that's just not in her right mind, sitting on the curb, whatever it is, and her friends abandoned her. There's predators out there, guys. And you know, if you're as a woman, you have to be safe. Don't abandon your friends out there.
100%.
You know, if they're fucked up, don't leave them alone. Because I've seen some stuff that was about to go down. It's just not cool. So don't abandon your friends. So have your location services on. Now, with that said, do you see that at a bar where their friends just abandon another friend?
Oh, this really pisses me off because you do see it. It doesn't happen very often, and it's not even like a common kind of thing. Like it's like one out of every 10 nights you'll see it with like one group of people. And when you do see it, it should be zero. It should literally, because if those were actually your friends, that should never happen.
Right.
But the fact that it still does is like, who are these people that you're allowing yourself to hang out with? You know, like they're terrible people. But like,
Right.
yeah, you do see it with girls. You do see it with guys. What I don't like is when they don't get abandoned at the bar. They get abandoned on 6th Street.
Right.
That is like insanely fucked up. I was working at Chupacabra Cantina in 2016 at the time. I can't remember what year it was. Around that time, there was a girl outside the bar. This was at like 2:10 a.m. or whatever. There was a girl right outside the patio that was like trying to push this guy away. She was like wasted. She was completely wasted, but she was like trying to push this guy away. And I was about probably like half a mile distance away from her, but I could still see that like this guy is like, I don't think that he actually knows her, because from an outsider's perspective, you would see it as that's her and her boyfriend fighting, because that's what it looks like. It looks like her and her boyfriend are fighting. He's grabbing her, trying to like, you know, bring her into an Uber, and she's like drunk and she can't walk up and all that sort of shit.
Right.
And she's trying to like push him away. But for some reason, I'm like feeling really uneasy about it. So I grabbed 2 other door guys at Chupa, and I'm like, hey guys, can you come with me real quick? And they're like, we got cleaning up to do. Like, why the fuck are we gonna like, you know, stop? Like, we got to close down the bar. It's gonna take forever if we just like fuck around. And I'm like, no guys, this is actually really serious. And so like they're like, okay. So I'm like, I grabbed 2 big ass fucking dudes, and I go over there and I'm like, hey ma'am, are you okay? Do you need an Uber back home or whatever? And she's like, I don't know this guy. Can you get him away from me? Like, this guy's been trying to drag me back to his house for the longest time. I don't know who this guy is. And me and the other 2 door guys are like, oh, we see what's going on here.
Wow.
He's like basically like trying to kidnap her or like rape her or do some fucking shit because she's wasted. And so we were like, get the fuck away, dude. We're like, we're going to fuck you up if you don't fucking leave. And the guy was just like, all right, chill. Like, you know, like, well, I wasn't trying to do anything. And she was like, he's been trying to like drag me to wherever for like the last like 20, 30 minutes. I'm like, where are your friends? Oh, they all left me. They're all gone. I'm like, are you fucking serious? You look like you're like 22 tops, and like you're out here downtown. Like, what happens if I don't step in at that point, right? Right. So like we kick the guy away and stuff like that. Me and them wait while we call her an Uber, make sure she gets into an Uber back to her house, and then that's the last I've ever seen of this person. But it's when you see stuff like that happen downtown, it does happen like 1 out of 10 nights, like I said. It's actually really fucked up. Because bad shit is just like you're like literally in that like scenario where like there's like almost 100% chance that something really bad's gonna happen.
It happens more than people think. I can think of 2 situations where I've stepped in. One, so sometimes I'll get a driver. There's this great app I use. They hire a driver, they drive your car, and it's like having your own personal Uber the whole time. It's like $25 an hour. You can't. I've
seen that happen.
I love that. So I get a driver.
I'm broke, so I can't do it.
And I'm coming out of this club, and there's this woman sitting on the side of the curb, totally intoxicated, could barely sit up. And I go, this doesn't seem right. I go, ma'am, are you okay? And I go, where are your friends? She goes, I don't know. They left me. I said, well, why don't you call them? She goes, I can't. My phone's dead. I go, well, where are you staying? Where do you live? She goes, I forgot the address because she's from out of town. I'm like, fuck. I go, come on, get in the car. I'm going to sober you up. Here's the scary part. She got in my car without even asking questions, but thank God it was me. So we got her in the car. I just happen to have a garbage bag there. She's hurling in the garbage bags out the window. I get her home, and I sober her up, right? And then get her phone charged, get her an Uber, and send her home. And thank God, I have no idea who this person is. We'll never see her again. Never got her number, and got her home safe. That was number one. Number two, I was down on the domain, and this woman's standing there, and this guy's like uncomfortably behind her, semi-mauling her, right? And I'm going, that looks kind of weird. Another guy comes up, and for the front starts, I'm going, this isn't right. I can spot this one a mile away.
Yeah.
And so I go up and go, ma'am, are you okay? And the guys they just leave. And she goes, no, it's okay. They're my friends. I go, friends don't do that. I'm just telling you like that. And she breaks down in tears, right? Yeah. So then I sit there with her until her Uber ride gets there, make sure she gets in her Uber and takes off. But bad things were going to happen that night.
Yeah.
I'm blessed because I'm 6'4" from Detroit with a Detroit attitude. So
6'4", really? That's how tall you are?
Yes, sir.
I feel like you're taller than that.
I wear heels, not the high heels, like spike heels.
I'm 4'4", so ladies.
But you're an angry 4'4". I know. No, you're like a Tasmanian devil kind of package, right?
4'5" at least. Guys.
So, right. but we're blessed as guys. We have to stand up for women. You know, it's like, hey, I enjoy women just like the next guy, but I don't want to take advantage of a woman because I want them in the moment. I want her part of the moment. I don't want to take advantage of a woman. Way back when I had a cousin that was kidnapped by a serial killer and killed, right? At a very young age, at like 7 years old, 8 years old, right?
Yeah.
And it fucked me up for a lot of decades. And I realized at some point in my life, that I need to stand up for, women and children. And that's what I do. And so when I see people in that kind of situation, I feel it's just, I have to. It's my obligation. And if it means I'm going to get my ass kicked, I get my ass kicked. That's cool. As long as that person's safe, I'm cool with that. But more men need to do that instead of taking advantage of the situation. I mean, alcohol is a good lube, but you don't want it to be, to take somebody out of their senses. It's a good loosener, and it should be enjoyed for entertainment, but not to incapacitate somebody. And I do not understand why dudes go around drugging women. It's like, what kind of pussies are you that do that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So when in those situations,
and do you see that at the bar at all? Have you experienced that? Someone trying to roofie a woman.
You never see it. Like you never see them physically actually drop something in their drink because it happens in like a millisecond.
Right.
You see the symptoms. Like we had a bartender, that worked with us that got roofied a few months ago, but nobody knows. Nobody knows who the perpetrator is because it happens so quickly, and the reason why that shit, like, people get roofied and stuff is because it's like you leave your drink unattended for like a second and it could happen. Like you leave it unattended for a second around people at the bar, you just turn away to like look at your phone, or like, hey, you run into a friend and your friend's talking to you, and so you have your back face towards the drink, and there's a guy right next to you or somebody who just walks right past you, and they could slip it in easily like that. So it's hard as fuck to find people that do roofies. That's why the cops don't like people who get that roofie girls, they don't get caught, like, which is the fucked up things. Because if they did, then you would hear more of it with the cops and everything involved, or the cops busting people that use that type of drug. But it's like, it's so fucked up. Like I got roofied. I got roofied on New Year's, when this was like probably 7 years ago, and I knew that I got roofied because it was on New Year's, right? So we had pre-games. I took like 3-4 shots or whatever during the pregame at one of my friend's apartments, and then we went downtown to Thirsties. Mm-hmm. And while I was there, it's about to hit midnight, so the ball's about to drop. The girl that I was dating at the time, she hands me a bottle of champagne, and she's like, "Hey, this like, just drink some of this, because the ball's about to drop. Like, let's party, have fun and stuff like that." The whole time I'm thinking, like, where did you get this bottle from? Like they're not handing out bottles of champagne. They're handing out glasses of champagne at the bar. But you're getting a whole bottle, like, from who? And she's, oh, it's this guy. This random guy gave it to me or whatever. I'm like, okay, I'm like having a good time, like, it's New Year's. So I'm worried about it a little bit in my head. But at the same time, I'm not going to just be like, fuck this. Like, I'm just going to throw it away in the trash and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, fine. Let's drink some of it. I drink a little, like a quarter of that bottle, right? I give it to her, and then as soon as I do that, I'm like, man, I'm feeling a little bit, feeling something. It's not like I know my drinking. My tolerance is insanely high for a guy that doesn't weigh that much because I've been working in the industry for so long, and my tolerance is really, really high. Like 10 shots throughout the night will like. I mean, I'll be kind of drunk at that time, but like I was already like 4 shots deep, and like that's not really like we're not even halfway there,
right?
You know. And especially like champagne's not going to do anything for me. It's too low of a percentage of alcohol. But I chug a quarter of this bottle, and then now I'm starting to feel like really woozy, like really, really tired and exhausted. And my girl is like you're ruining New Year's. Like, how did you get fucked up already this quickly? And I'm like, I didn't. See, that's the whole thing. I didn't. There's no way I could have. You were with me the whole time. How, like, you know, I can outdrink you and all your friends. Like, there's no way that this actually happened. And then within the next like 30 minutes, I'm like falling on the ground. I can't pick myself off the ground. And so she's like, all right, we got to take him home. Like, we're going to call an Uber. Like, the night's done. And she's like, I can't believe you. I'm never going to forgive you because it's New Year and stuff like that. I'm like telling her the whole time, I can't talk, first of all, but I'm still conscious.
Right.
But it feels like somebody is like pushing me into the ground, like a fucking 400-pound guy pushing me into the ground, and I can't get up. And I'm trying the most. I'm trying to like, you know, like make words out of my mouth. I'm like, I'm not drunk. Like, and they're like, well, you look like you're trying to drunk. Like, but when you talk like that, I'm like, no, I'm really not. Like, I got roofied. I got drugged. Like, and then she's starting to realize it when we're in the Uber together that she's like, wait, let me do the math here. 1, 2, 3, 4, quarter of a bottle of champagne. And I took those shots spread out too. It was like back to back to back to back. She's like, oh shit. Like, I think he did get roofied. And so like, while we get back to our apartment, I'm just on the floor. I can't even get in. She has to like, her and her friend has like drag me into the apartment complex. And then once I'm there, I'm like on the ground in the living room and I can't get up. And that's what roofies, that's what they do to people.
And it hits you pretty fast too, doesn't it?
It hit me like a truck.
Like how fast?
Within when I drank it, and let's say like they slipped it in the champagne bottle, right? Mm-hmm. Within like 30 to 40 minutes, I'm already like on the floor.
Wow.
So that's me that has like a high tolerance for this kind of stuff. Imagine a like 21-year-old girl, like she's done. There's no way.
And that's why women just have to be more careful. They just have to be. You know, it's watch your drinks. I always drink beer out of a bottle whenever I can. My thing's Michelob Ultra, because it's like can't mix it. You can't see someone drop into it. You know, watch your drink being poured too. If somebody brings you a drink, always be careful. You know, as a woman, especially on 6th Street. You know, because it's a popular hunting ground.
Yeah. So 6th Street, every now and then we'll have something called it's like a roofie epidemic, where because everybody in the industry knows each other. Uh-huh. So we'll talk about shit that happened after the bar or whatever. If we meet up at like a house party, or like if we ever meet up like the next day or whatever, everybody will talk about all their like fucked up stories that happened at the bar. And when the roofie epidemic goes on, quote unquote, it's where multiple people at multiple bars get hit at once, like get roofied at once. And so like it makes you kind of think that like, is it because the guy that's supplying it, or girl, whoever the fuck that's supplying it, is all just kind of like in town that one day and is just giving it to all the scumbags that one day? Or is it one scumbag doing it to multiple people? Or is it like a group that are actually doing it to multiple people? Like if it's organized, because it happens all in like a few nights back to back, right? And then it just goes away.
How often does that happen?
It's like once, twice a year. We'll have something like that, once or twice. But it's just all in that one time period, and then it just goes away. So that's why I call it this weird like roofie epidemic. But I don't know why that happens.
Is there a pattern to it at all?
There is. It's within that like within Dirty at least, and then it'll go to like 5th Street as well. And
I mean, a time period. Like, does it happen like before finals?
Yeah. It's not a specific time period, but it just happens all in like 3 days. Within 3 days, 4 days of that same like month or that same week, and then it'll go away. And that'll be like the first time it'll happen. And then if it happens another time of the year, it'll be like months later or whatever, or if it ever does. But I never found I never found out like if there was ever a pattern or like how it was ever like what actually happens, like if it's like one guy or whatever. But I always found that very like unsettling, because if it was just like a group of people doing that, like it's like, where do these people go, like, and what the fuck are like these motherfuckers are like monsters, like it's weird. It's weird. There's a lot of weird things that happen downtown like that. There's we have theft sprees that occur as well. And then it's kind of the same thing with the roofie epidemic, where like you'll have a bunch of people's stuff get stolen,
like what?
Purses, phones, wallets, keys, and stuff like that. It'll all happen in such a quick, short period of time, but just in that time, like it would be in like the 3-4 days, right? And then it'll just go away, and then you'll never see them again. And then it'll happen another year later, not that same time period, but it's like once a year kind of thing. And then it's just stolen, all the stuff stolen and then gone. And then I remember one of my friends got their like phone stolen or whatever, and then they try to trace it back, and it actually turned on, and it was in China. So Chinese people doing it. I am Chinese, so it's not me. It's not my friends, but like maybe they're selling it to them or something like that, or like I don't know how it goes. Like within like 2 days, her phone went from Austin, Texas to China.
Interesting.
So it's like, what are these people really like? Is it like a big conglomerate? Like it's like a gang that is like organized and structured that are doing this stuff, because they can just like steal it and then resell it that quickly into the black market within 2 days. So it's not just a bunch of amateurs, right? So
right.
We don't really know. It's weird.
So what advice would you give to either men or women going out on 6th Street, wanting to meet maybe people of the opposite sex, or want to meet somebody, want to hook up? What advice would you give?
For guys, be confident, be like, it's so cliche to say, but it is true. If it wasn't true, then people wouldn't keep saying it. Like, be yourself, but also like develop a personality, like, because when people tell you to be yourself and then you're just like, what the fuck does that actually mean? Because I've been myself for 28 years or whatever, like, and I've never gotten any success. Well, it's because you're being yourself, but you didn't really develop a personality, because you've always just been at home the whole time playing games, or like at school, or just hanging out with just like two groups of friends, like two people your whole life, your friends your whole life. So you didn't really have like a huge environment to develop a like fun, entertaining personality with. So like everything takes experience, right? That's why a lot of women like older men, because it's experience. We had a lot of experience in our life, so that we're a little bit more confident. We know our pros and cons with what we do, with what we look as well. And so these younger guys and stuff like that, they don't know that. So go out there and actually just practice being around people. Practice like getting out of your social circle, making new friends, being out there in a wide group of people, to actually like take yourself out of your comfort zone and see what people actually like about you, because I don't even think they know that about themselves, so if they don't know that about themselves, then how can they sit there and be like, oh, why don't other people like me? Because you don't know it yourself. So you don't know it, then how do we know it? Like,
right. Well, that's a discovery for your whole life. It's always developing, always growing. But yeah, be yourself and be confident, because what's the worst thing that's going to happen? Somebody's going to laugh at you. No, it's not going to kill you.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, that's how you learn. You don't learn from success, you learn from failure. So if you're not getting shot down, if you're not getting blown off, or some smart ass line said to you, then you're not going to learn.
And like when you do get rejected, I feel it's all a learning process. I feel like that can be good for you if you don't dwell on it. If you don't let rejection like mull over and kind of like infect you like a disease. Like if you just take it on the chin, it's like when you play a sport, right? Like let's say you play like tennis or like basketball or whatever. When you lose a game or a match, you don't let that one game or match like destroy you, right? You're like, oh my God, unless it's like the NBA championships or something like that. LeBron, like, I don't know, but he didn't let that affect him. But But if you're just like an amateur, right? And if you play just like, with your friends or whatever, and then they beat you or whatever, you're not going to let that one loss like destroy you inside, right? You're going to be like, well, I played bad because I did this, this, and this. I did X, Y, and Z. And so it's kind of like the same thing within the dating arena. When you get rejected and stuff like that, you don't let that one rejection just like destroy you, right?
Well, not everybody's for everybody.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like, look, not one size fits all. And everybody's going through different things. Even if that woman may be right for you, if she's going through some shit, she can't deal with it right now, then okay, it's not meant to be. But you're not going to be for everybody. Everybody's got different likes and dislikes and things. So move on.
Yeah. Like, it's just why it didn't work. Reflect on it. Was it something she did? Was it something you did? Was it a combination of both? And then you can always use that to your advantage.
And don't overthink it. Sometimes it's not that complicated.
Yeah, sometimes it's not that complicated. Sometimes there are very, very loose people on 6th Street that you could just literally buy them a drink and they will be interested in you because of the way that you said it or the way that you approached them. Like, that does happen.
Well, it's a numbers game too. If you walk down the street, if you talk to 200 women, if you're smart about it, first of all, you shouldn't have to talk to that many women to get there, but just don't dwell on it. Move on. Now, for women, what's your advice there?
For women, it's easy. So just, you guys are good.
Yeah. Well, be safe, for God's sake. That's my thing, is be safe. Don't put the too easy vibe out there, but also protect yourself. Just be safe.
Well, so there's the whole movement with the whole like slut shaming movement where it's like, it's not, they want it to seem like it's not bad if you have multiple partners as a female. And I don't think that is either, but for women that are like trying to hook up with guys, I mean, it depends on what you want. Like, are you just looking for hookups? Are you looking for a little bit something more meaningful? Are you like always getting mad and posting all these like interactions you have with men on social media because you're like, I can't find a nice guy? Well, because you're looking in the wrong place and you're acting the wrong way around them. You're making it seem too accessible to them, and then so that they see you as that person that's easy, right? So that you're not attracting quality men by doing that.
Well, a lot of it because of social media. It's like, look the cool things I'm doing. Look who I'm partying with. I mean, so it's putting out that vibe too. But at the end of the day, women can sleep with who they want. Guys sleep who what they can. Men marry who they want. Women marry who they can. That's just a basic philosophy. But when it comes out of that, women control the game.
And if you want quality people, then do quality things. Like bring other things to the table aside from just like dressing really provocatively, because that's all you're gonna get is men that are gonna like want you for what you did. Like that's what you dressed up like, like even if you didn't want it or not. But that's like literally Dave Chappelle said it in such a articulate way. He's like, if you dress in a police uniform, but you're not a police officer, and I walk up to you and I have like a crime that I want to report, and you're like, just because the way I dress doesn't mean that I'm a police officer, so you're objectifying me or whatever. You're like, well, you're in a police officer outfit. Like, what do you expect me to do? Like,
right?
It's very complicated. It's very you could see the misunderstanding that people have because of the way that people try to like perceive to portray themselves.
Right.
So it's like, that's very important, guys. Like, if you want to attract certain people, then you do it already by the way that you project yourself and then the way that you speak. Like,
what you advertise for is what you're going to get. Well,
100%.
Well, thanks, Nate. This has been very informing, and I hope you enjoyed being here. And remember to live, love, and to live life.
All right. Thanks, guys.